Wouldn't you agree that university students, as innate autonomous beings, have the fundamental right to drive wherever they want and go commute if they want to?
Of course they do. There are people who work online, but there are people who simply cannot work online.
So let's imagine the problem of online schooling as a pie. And the parts that were discussed by the Prime Minister is only a very, very small portion that just so happens to be the benefits of the pie. Their whole constructive case was about saving time and being more efficient, but they have failed to recognize every other aspect of this entire problem. It says students were caught cheating 1,340 times. Imagine all the students that cheated and didn't get caught.
Are you aware that universities have come up with many softwares and have been expanding on these softwares that prevent cheating using
Yes, of course. We can take however many preventative measures we want, but nothing is going to be having students go into a physical location.
Wouldn't you agree that, especially for socially anxious people, that they will eventually have to live life in person and have to ask these questions in person, and forcing this type of person to have their university experience entirely online only inhibits their potential to actually overcome this obstacle?
Yes, I agree, but put yourself in their shoes.
First speaker talked a lot about saving time, which my partner has already addressed and did a wonderful job of refuting. And the second speaker talked about how this helps their social anxiety by making sure they don't have to meet as many people and they should be more focused on to working and getting ready for society. Number one, why do universities care about traffic for random people that just live around the university? Number two, even if universities care, and if universities are going to make all students go online to prevent this traffic, then why don't businesses do the same thing? Now, there's some courses that actually do just require you to have in-person learning that USAT hasn't addressed at all, but you also seem to disagree with that.
Are you aware of the sheer amount of students that wish to pursue a career overseas but simply cannot afford living there?
In a university and they have pursued a certain major, then they would also be able to get a job.
Wouldn't you agree that going and living on campus actually teaches the students true independence and being able to live by yourself instead of relying on other people's?
Being able to control yourself from watching YouTube while the teacher drones on for hours is an ability that is actually truly precious because it helps you learn how to focus on what is important.
Wouldn't you agree that that one annoying student who's always bringing stuff up is because they don't want to be in the class, and that now if it's online learning, then they can straight up ignore the class and do something else and the teacher won't be able to do anything about that?
Oh yeah, sure. But that's their own fault. If they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. It also exists in actual universities where students don't attend lectures. The teachers could just, with one click of the button, mute them all or kick them out of the class if they are being disruptive.
The first thing that the third government speaker says is how only those who are diligent deserve to succeed. If you're going to slack off in online school, then you deserve to fail. However, we on-site opposition completely disagree with this, because the entire point of a school is to actually maximize the learning environment and maximize the success of its students. And if it doesn't do that, like online school doesn't, where it allows people to cheat, as the upper half mentioned, where it allows people to slack off, where it saps the very motivation of people to actually learn, where you're sat in a chair for up to 6 hours a day, we believe that that is just simply a bad learning environment and is just a bad school.
Students, after having their classes, has full capabilities
I would
and
agree
freedom
that
to go
they
outside
would be able to leave, but when you consider that school, especially university, where you're paying for your degree, so you better get good grades, you better pass, they're still going to be spending 6 to 7 hours of their life on school. And when you're stuck in front of a computer screen in your room for 6 to 7 hours a day, how is that preparing you for life whatsoever?
What would you say to the people who are overseas or across the province and actually cannot be seeing their friends and family from home?
I don't see how that correlates to university whatsoever, because if you have an online, like a friend overseas, you just call them up on Skype, you like face call them, but that doesn't physically restrict the students to staying at home for, as I mentioned, 6 or 7 hours a day.
So the first theme that I see in this debate is relationships and community. Now, opposition states that in-person can develop a healthy community and a healthy friendship. Well, my partner directly contradicts your point. In order to have a healthy community, there needs to be order and mutual respect. If we move on to online classrooms, it is a lot easier for teachers to manage.
Wouldn't you agree that, removed from whether you treat online people and real person people the same, online communities don't allow you to actually engage in natural situations of social interaction?
This is a post-COVID situation. After school, after your studies, you can easily hang out with the people you would like. You can easily communicate with the people, with your family and friends.
Starting in 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable judges, panel, worthy opponents. I'll be doing a number of things for you today. First of all, I'll be introducing the burdens that we have for you on closing opposition bench. We'll be later getting onto some quick refutation, and I'll later be boiling down why my partner has ultimately won this debate today. Now, Mr. Speaker, can you imagine how our society would be if all we constantly did was sit down at our computers every single day? Can you imagine our life being repeated for the next century, decade, or even millennia? I simply cannot, because that would be detrimental to our society. Because this house is not the students, this house is the university. So we make considerations on the university's budget, not the student's budget, the university's budget, the university's time, the university's professors, and the university's reputation, not the student. Mr. Speaker, I just want to get this clear. It's because of this one basis that we have won this debate already. If you stand on the side of providing education and opportunities to our students of the future, if you stand on the side of having sports teams, if you stand on the side of making universities a better place for every single person in the whole world, then you stand on closing opposition. Thank you.